Welcome to This Explainer. Look, if you are staring down the barrel of the Fundamentals of Engineering exam right now, I know exactly what you might be feeling. It's a massive, intimidating beast of a test. You're looking at this incredibly broad scope of subjects, and it is completely normal to feel a bit of anxiety about how you could possibly prepare for all of it. But take a deep breath. Today, we're not just going to talk about studying harder, we're going to talk about studying smarter. We're going to treat this exam exactly like an engineering problem. We'll break it down, analyze the constraints, and by the end of this, you'll have a strategic, repeatable system to conquer it.
All right, let's quickly look at our roadmap for today. We'll start by tackling the relearning trap, then move on to mastering the reference handbook, assigning your resources a specific job, the 3 stages of practice, the power of error logs, and finally, putting together your ultimate study system. These are the exact specs we'll follow to engineer your success.
So, Section 1, the relearning trap. This is literally the first major hurdle every single candidate faces when they sit down to prep. It's the ultimate late-night panic question, isn't it? Do I actually need to relearn 4 entire years of engineering? Let's just crush that myth right now. No, absolutely not. Trying to relearn engineering in its entirety is neither realistic nor is it efficient. The FE exam covers a wonderfully broad range of subjects, yes, but your time, your attention, and your energy are heavily constrained. The objective here is absolutely not to know everything. You need to make a massive mindset shift right now. Passing the FE exam is not just a matter of remembering what you learned at university. Think about it. A university exam usually focuses on extreme depth and memorizing complex derivations. The FE exam, on the other hand, is all about breadth and strategic retrieval. Professional practice and standardized exams reward completely different skills. You might be a highly competent engineer in your day job, like maybe you're excellent at structural design, but you might be completely unfamiliar with engineering economics simply because you haven't used it in years. Because of that disparity, where some topics are fresh in your mind and others are ancient history, your very first task has to be diagnosis, not memorization. Before you even crack open a textbook, you need to understand the structure of the exam and its official specifications. You must figure out exactly what you know and what you don't know based on how your specific discipline distributes its questions. You really have to identify what matters before you start studying it. Which brings us to Section 2, Mastering the Reference Handbook. We're talking about the single most critical tool you'll have at your disposal on test day. Listen, the FE Reference Handbook is not a textbook. It is a searchable tool. Please, do not try to treat it as a book that has to be memorized page by page. Knowing an equation by heart is great, but in the context of this exam, knowing exactly how to find and apply that equation quickly inside this specific handbook is far more valuable. So, how do you actually practice with it? You have to use the handbook alongside your review materials from day one. Do not wait until the final week of your preparation to get familiar with its layout. As you solve practice problems, force yourself to locate equations in the handbook, even if you already know them from memory. Learn the specific terminology it uses in different sections, recognize its preferred variables, and map out exactly where the crucial tables are located. Building this familiarity early on will save you an immense amount of time on the actual exam. All right, Section 3, Assigning Resources a Job. This step solves a problem you've likely already encountered, having way too many study materials and feeling like none of them are perfect.
The reality is, no single FE resource is flawless. A review manual might organize the material beautifully, but it might not have enough practice problems. A video course could be incredibly clear, but it consumes way too much of your limited time. So instead of eternally searching for one perfect, holy grail resource, you need to assign each tool a specific job. Use the handbook purely for navigation. Lean on a review manual for structural concepts. Go to videos only for those really difficult or unfamiliar topics. Use problem banks strictly for repetition and speed. And save practice exams for diagnosing weaknesses and refining your test day strategy. By giving each tool a designated purpose, you immediately stop wasting time.
And while we're talking about resources and problem banks, a quick warning for you. Do not immediately worry about solving every question in 2 or 3 minutes. Speed is the result of understanding and repetition, not just guessing faster. You have to begin by understanding the underlying principles. Use worked examples to really put flesh on the bones of the theory. Only when you can consistently select the correct method should you start imposing time limits on yourself. Let's move to our core process and see how this all builds into an actionable daily execution plan. Section 4, 3 stages of practice. This is such a brilliant system to structure your daily studying. Stage 1 is learn. This is where you solve problems slowly, allowing yourself to use notes and really study the reasoning behind a solution. Stage 2 is retrieve. Here, you put the notes away and solve problems depending primarily on the FE handbook. This forces your brain to actively retrieve the information. Finally, stage 3 is perform. This is where you mix up the subjects, impose those realistic time limits, and crucially, practice deciding whether to solve, skip, estimate, or return to a question later. FE preparation isn't just about learning engineering. It is fundamentally about making very good decisions under pressure. Here is a vital mindset shift for this exam. You must measure progress by what you can do, not by what you have read. Reading hundreds of pages of a textbook passively might make you feel familiar with material, but it does absolutely nothing to improve your ability to actually solve problems. Passive reading is a totally obsolete habit for the FE exam. You have to measure your progress purely by your problem-solving output. Okay, so you're doing practice problems, you're focusing on output. Now we need to optimize our system by looking at your feedback loops. Welcome to Section 5, the power of error logs. The crucial takeaway here is that simply knowing you got a problem wrong just isn't enough. You need to record exactly why you got it wrong. Create a log and categorize your mistakes. Was it a fundamental conceptual misunderstanding? Did you just select the wrong equation? Did you misread the question entirely? Was it a unit conversion error, which, by the way, is incredibly common? Did you spend way too much time? Or was it just a simple, silly arithmetic mistake? If you track this diligently for just a few weeks, something amazing happens. Clear patterns will emerge. When you simulate the exam, a raw score only tells you how you performed in a vacuum. But these mistake patterns, they dictate exactly what you need to study next. They reveal your real, actionable weaknesses, far better than tracking the sheer number of hours you've had a book open on your desk. But you have to be smart about what weaknesses you choose to fix. You don't need equal mastery of every possible engineering topic. You need to learn how to distinguish a high-value weakness from a fringe, eccentric problem. A difficult problem is not automatically an important problem. Strengthen your high-value weaknesses first, the fundamental concepts, and the common problem types. Do not let rare, highly complex, eccentric problems consume hours of your study time simply because your ego wants to solve them. We have covered a lot of ground today. Let's wrap up this explainer by putting all these modular pieces together into Section 6, the final system. I want to assure you right now, there is no clandestine, secret, or mystery formula for passing the FE exam. A competent engineer is not someone who never forgets an equation. It's someone who understands the problem, finds reliable information, selects a method, and efficiently gets to a defensible answer. The absolute strongest preparation is just following this reliable, repeatable system. Understand the concept, practice the application, review your specific mistakes in an error log, improve your high-value weaknesses, and practice again. It's a continuous, unbreakable loop. So I'll leave you with this final thought as you look at your study materials today. Are you going to fall back into the university trap and try to memorize everything? Or will you ditch the massive textbooks, embrace the reference handbook, and build a targeted system to diagnose, retrieve, and conquer the FE exam? The blueprint is literally in your hands. It's time to start engineering your success right now.